Welcome to r/Topposts, where a crazy lady literally tries to murder her 3-year-old granddaughter. Our next Reddit post is from Deleted. My 3-year-old daughter has severe food allergies. Peanuts and eggs are the worst. She can't have dairy or bananas. My mother-in-law is super obsessed with my daughter. This is our only child, and my mother-in-law's only grandchild, so I try to be understanding. I don't say anything about it when my mother-in-law buys $300 dresses that my daughter will only wear once. I've encouraged a relationship between them. I've let my mother-in-law have her way on holidays. I've never actually left them alone though. I can't explain exactly why, but it just didn't feel right. My mother-in-law hasn't pushed for alone time like I've read about here. She offered to babysit, but let it go when we declined. My mother-in-law has always doubted my daughter's allergies. She insisted that her princess of a granddaughter would never have something wrong with her. However, she's never tested to see if the allergies are true, until today. My mother-in-law was over playing dress up with my daughter. I had a horrible headache, so I asked my mother-in-law to watch my daughter so I could lie down for an hour. She agreed. 20 minutes later, I'm woken up to my mother-in-law shrieking that there's something wrong with the baby. I go running to daughter's room and she's gasping for breath and her lips are turning blue. I scream at my mother-in-law to call 911 and use an EpiPen for my daughter. My daughter was able to take a deep breath and I noticed she smelled like banana. The paramedics show up, start an IV, and give my daughter meds so she can breathe. I tell one of the paramedics that my mother-in-law fed my daughter something. He found part of a cookie on the floor. He confronts my mother-in-law, who confesses she gave my daughter a peanut butter banana cookie, but she didn't know that it would hurt her. I text my husband and ride to the hospital with my daughter. They admitted her for observation and my husband met us there. My mother-in-law called him wailing about how she's just trying to show us that nothing is wrong with our daughter. We're just too paranoid and have such odd ideas about our daughter's health. That woman admitted to my husband that she's been making allergen-laced cookies for more than a year. She bakes a huge batch and freezes them. She puts one in her purse every time she sees her daughter just in case she gets a chance to slip it to her. I can't even wrap my head around this. Daughter is asking when my mother-in-law is going to come see her. She wants to show grandma her pretty bracelet, which is the hospital band with stickers on it. I'm so devastated right now. I never suspected my mother-in-law would do something like this. Then OP posted an update. So the detective just left. He got copies of everything my mother-in-law sent my husband, plus 11 voicemails she left me last night. My phone's been off. Apparently, several of them were her just screaming that she's going to kill herself because she can't live without her baby. The detective doesn't know what's going to happen because he's never seen this before. But right now, he's going to take her into custody due to the threats of suicide. The district attorney will have to take a look at the case next week. She also went on a huge shopping spree. My husband went home to get a few things for our daughter, and our front porch was crammed full of new toys. My husband loaded them up, and after lunch, my daughter is going to give them away to other kids at the hospital. My daughter is doing great. That woman will never see us again. My daughter and I are going to stay with my parents in Ireland for a while. We're leaving at the end of the month. My husband is on board with all this. He's talking about moving a few states away just to make sure that his mother can't get to our daughter. He took next week off work to be there for our daughter. Then OP posted another update. My mother-in-law was charged and she got off with a slap on the wrist. Yesterday, I got a call from my daughter's preschool. My mother-in-law tried to pick her up. She told the staff there was a family emergency. Luckily, I got the advice here to tell the preschool the situation, so they locked down and stalled until the police got there. My mother-in-law violated her restraining order, so there may be some legal action, but I haven't been told anything yet. Then another update. So, my crazy allergen-giving monster of a mother-in-law somehow found out the day that we were moving and showed up at our house. She parked behind the moving truck and said that she wouldn't budge until we agreed to talk things out. Police were called and she was arrested for violating a restraining order, which I'm told could result in as much as 1 year in jail. I believe she has to go to court. Her car was towed, the movers finished up, and now we're all safely in the new state. All 4 of us, because we recently found out that we'll be adding a new little one to our family in January. My mother-in-law doesn't know. The new house is under an LLC, as suggested here. Our lawyer thought that was an excellent course of action. For those who don't know, putting a house that you buy under an LLC is a great way to keep it anonymous. Because if you look up a house, you can see the property records of who owns it. So instead of seeing that, Joe Blow owns the house, you just see rSlash owns the house. Then another update. So my husband works for a large company with offices in multiple states. We told the new location not to release any information about my husband. Don't confirm that he works there, nothing. Death Cookies, that's the new nickname for the mother-in-law, called the old location and played the Forgetful Old Lady act and managed to get the number of the new location that my husband transferred to. She then proceeded to call the new location. The receptionist didn't get the memo, apparently, and gave her my husband's extension. As soon as he picked up, he was treated to ear-piercing wailing. Not talking or crying, just full-on banshee wails. He hung up and she called again and again. She left 12 full voicemails of this before his mailbox was full. Then she switched to calling the receptionist and wailing at her. My husband was called into a meeting with HR and had to provide copies of the restraining order. Legal is sending her a letter. The police in the old town have been notified. IT had to set up a brand new extension for my husband. I believe they blocked her number as well, but it won't stop her. But now, Death Cookies knows where we've moved. At least we already have security cameras, I guess. It's actually funny because literally yesterday, my wife took my daughter to a new camp. And one of the kids at the camp is extremely allergic to peanuts. Every morning when my wife drops off my daughter, the teachers warn all the parents, don't bring anything with peanuts. We have an allergy. And at pickup, the same thing. Don't bring any peanuts. And apparently, at least one of the parents continues to bring in peanut snacks, which is pissing off the parents of the kid and pissing off the teachers. And my wife was like, can you believe that? If they say don't bring peanuts, just don't bring peanuts. And I was like, yes, I can believe that. Because it feels like every week or two I come across yet another story on Reddit of someone who gets the bright idea to try to murder a 2-year-old with cookies because they don't believe allergies are real. These people think people buy EpiPens for fun? They're like $500. Our next Reddit post comes from r/job hunting. I walked out of an interview after just one question. Was I wrong? Today, I had an interview for a job that I was very excited about. The job description looked amazing, the salary was good, and the company had good reviews. I went in, greeted the hiring manager, and we sat down. Then came the first question. How do you deal with working overtime without pay? I literally laughed. I thought that he was joking, but the interviewer kept looking at me, waiting for an answer. I asked him if the overtime was mandatory and if it was paid. He said, look, we expect employees to stay until the work is finished. Everyone here is passionate about the work, and we don't count the extra hours. I simply stood up and said, thank you for your time, but this place isn't the right fit for me, and I walked out. Now I'm starting to doubt myself. Should I have stayed and at least heard more about the job, or was walking out the right decision? Why would you even want a job that doesn't pay? I think the only reason why they asked that question is because they're actively looking for pushovers. Am I overreacting for wanting to end my marriage after what my husband did during our break? I'm a 25-year-old woman, and my husband is 27, and we've been married for 2 years, together for 5. We married young, but we were both ready, emotionally and financially. We both wanted a big family. I got pregnant last year, and about 6 months ago, I had a stillbirth at 5 months. It happened after a fall. My husband slipped on the stairs, fell on me, and we both tumbled down. It was a freak accident. I don't blame him, but I was struggling not to at that point. I had to be rushed to the hospital, and we lost the baby. The physical recovery was painful, and emotionally, I was a mess. I was grieving, traumatized, and mentally not okay. I asked for space. I told him I wanted to stay with my parents for a while to heal and process everything. I started therapy and encouraged him to do the same. I was gone for about 2.5 months, trying to recover emotionally, physically, and mentally. Eventually, I moved back in. We resumed therapy together. Things were still heavy, but I thought that we were trying to move forward. That's when he told me, very guiltily, that while I was away, he hooked up with another woman because we were on a break. I was shocked, hurt, numb. We're married. We weren't on a break like in some high school relationship. I went to stay with my parents to grieve our child, not to take a break from the relationship. I never once implied that it was okay to sleep with other people. He never asked or clarified. He just decided that that's what our space meant. To make it worse, he waited 1.5 months until after I came back to confess. That tells me he knew exactly what he was doing. He hid it. He lied by omission for weeks. I left immediately, booked a hotel for like 3 days and cut everyone off. I didn't want to talk to my parents or friends because I knew they would try to convince me to forgive him. Right now, I'm staying with my brother for like 2 weeks. I've even stopped therapy. Everything feels pointless for now. He's been apologizing nonstop, saying we can fix this, we can keep going to counseling, we can rebuild. He's even involved both of our parents. Now everyone, his parents, my parents, are saying that I should give him a chance. That he was grieving in his own way. That it wasn't cheating because we were apart. But I can't look at it that way. I feel betrayed. I think he made a choice. And I don't feel any desire to fight for this marriage anymore. Everyone except my brother is making me feel like I'm overreacting. That divorce is too far-fetched. I'm guessing most of you think that this qualifies as cheating, and I agree. But to me, that's not even the real issue here. The thing that I can't get my brain around is that this guy fell on top of his pregnant wife and accidentally, I'm not really blaming him here, it was an accident, and accidentally caused the death of his unborn child. And his response was to go get his dick wet. That's not grieving, that's just being opportunistic. Also, in the comments, Mountain Girl has this response, which is a little intense, but it offers some incredible perspective. OP did not have a miscarriage. OP had a stillborn child. I lost my baby at 24 weeks, about 4 weeks after OP did. She gave birth, which is hard enough as anyone who's had a miscarriage will tell you. You know your body is betraying you. That's how it feels. But you're not going into active labor and pushing a child out that's dead. And that's what happens at 5 and 6 months. So it really messes with you because your body knows that you just gave birth to a child. Your milk still comes in. You still deliver placenta. Your breasts are engorged. You're bleeding. You can't have intercourse because it's just the same as if you had given birth. Every single thing about your body reminds you that you don't have a baby every single day. Putting on a bra is god-awful, and your clothes don't fit, including your bras half the time. Every single thing. There's literally nothing about your body and the hormones and the joint pains and the swelling and the baby abdomen and the engorged breasts that doesn't remind you every day that you don't have a baby, even though you gave birth. It effing sucks more than I can tell you. And then you compound all of that going on with knowing your husband didn't mean to fall down on you on the stairs. And you're fighting yourself because logically you know this, you know that it was an accident. But you know in this case that, yeah, he did cause you to lose the child. It technically is his fault. And you have to have a bit of time to work around that in your brain because you know you love him, you know that it was an accident, but your body reminds you every day that you still don't have a baby anymore, which then reminds you of why you don't have a baby. When I lost my child, my husband was out of town. He was a firefighter. I literally had to call the aid car and have the paramedics come. And of course, guess what? Sure enough, I knew the paramedics. It messes with your head. I knew it wasn't my husband's fault because he had to be out of town. I didn't blame him. But then I had to deal with his parents, who are incredibly emotional people anyway. And he wasn't going to be back immediately because he couldn't be. This stuff messes with you. And instead of him stopping to deal with his own feelings of guilt, because I have no doubt that he had to have feelings of guilt, unless he's some sort of sociopath. So instead of getting some therapy, as OP suggested, after explaining to him that she just needed a little space to work through things in her head, he goes and screws somebody else because they were on a break. That's BS. Beneath that, OP replied, "This made me cry. Thank you so much. Like I said, I wouldn't change the decision that I made to take that time. It was the only way that I could begin processing what happened without turning all my pain into blame. I just had my first conversation with a divorce lawyer about an hour ago. It's still incredibly hard, but your words helped me feel seen and also realize that stopping therapy wasn't the best idea. Because clearly, just being heard will help me a lot right now, and I'll be resuming it. Thank you, truly. Man, OP found exactly the Reddit user that she needed to reply to this story. That was r/Topposts from Reddit, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.